Hello everybody, this is Amy and I wanted to do a quick video and show you some ways to budget. There are lots of budget books out there that you can purchase, and while most of them are absolutely gorgeous and they work well for people, you really don't have to spend a lot of money to do that. So let me show you some of the ways that I have either budgeted or budget. Let me go back to the very first way that I ever did my budget. This is how I laid it out, okay? Literally a notebook with each month laid out like this. I'm gonna quickly erase these because I don't do this anymore and I did them backwards. I don't know if I can get my whiteout to work. Okay, so what I would do, get a pen, make sure it writes, yes. Okay, so say this would be the budget for October, okay? So I'd write October up here. Can you see this? I think you can. I'd write October. I'd write all of my bills. If I had like stuff that came out every check or sinking funds, or I really didn't call them sinking funds back then because I didn't even really know what that was. But if I had anything written over here, like if I had more than the space, like half of a sheet of paper, I would write them over here. For this purpose, these aren't even right totals. I'm just showing how I would budget with this. So I would write down all the due dates, all the bills names, and what they were. Some of these like this would be maybe a guess, or I would say like a higher total than what I thought it was, and then it would just, whatever it was, would come out. But see, I didn't do this a month ahead. So I usually knew what my bills were. So they weren't really a month ahead in this situation. So, okay, say I got paid on the 13th and the 27th of October. What I would do is I would guess that this is what my paycheck was going to be. I'd look up here at my bills and say, okay, so for the 27th, this paycheck would pay November's, the first part of November's bills. So I would go ahead and do November. For the 13th, though, this check would pay from here down. So I would say minus 190, 5117, 599, 267.85, 32.49, and then say 289.50. And then I would take that, subtract all that out. And I'm not going to do that because that's not important, because this isn't real numbers for me. But say I would subtract all this and I would have $500 left over. Just say that's how much I'd have left. I would say, okay, how much do I need to live on for the 2 weeks until I get paid again? And then I would say maybe 200. So I would put 300 in savings and I'd have 200 left. And that's what I knew I had left over for the 2 weeks. This would go into savings. And so you see how that works. This was before I was a month ahead. The 27th would then go to pay. I would see like the next paycheck when I would get the 11th, and I think that would be the 10th. So on the 10th, it would be on another piece of paper. On the next month's piece of paper with all of November's bills. And as I would pay them, I would check them off. So this was a very simple situation. It was very easy. Nothing was ever a month ahead. It was definitely paycheck to paycheck. And that's how I budgeted, paycheck to paycheck. So it worked. And I knew what bills got paid, and they were always on time. I knew what needed to come out of this paycheck to pay from this date, anything that was due from this date to this date. If I could pay something a little early, or I had like a lot coming out this month and not as much coming out here, I would push it over here and pay it a little early. But this is how I would do it. Then eventually I wanted to go into something a little, what did I do with that paper? I wanted to do something a little bit more structured. So I bought this. Now, this is out of the actual Budget Mom book, but there is a printable one that you can just print out the pages that you need. This was a more paycheck to paycheck as well, but it was a little more structured. When I knew what sinking funds were, cash envelopes, like once I discovered this system, I bought the book and I bought the printouts. So you could do either one. Now, the book would come with 5, so that if you got 5 paychecks in a month, that was great. I only get 2 paychecks a month. Twice a year, I get 3. So I didn't need 5 of these. So what I would do is take one of them and make my monthly. So I would say like check number 1, check number 2, miscellaneous. Like I would put everything that I thought I was going to get for the month. Here I would put the budgeted total amount, and then I'd come back and do the actual amount here. And that was for that month. And I do like this process, and I may go back to this. But I would do the whole entire month worth. Then the next one, I would say, okay, so I'm going to take this much out of this paycheck for this bill, this much out of this paycheck, because this I'm doing, it's coming out in October, but it's paying November bills. I'll explain that in another video, how I got there, but this is what I was doing. And I do like this because I like it separated. And then this one is just a sample one. It's just not exactly correct. It's messy. But, you know, the Budget Mom is a pretty awesome system, and it's a big book. It's got a lot more stuff in it than it used to have. It's even got menu plans, but it's huge. And I like to have everything in one place. So if you buy the printable one, you can actually shrink it down to fit whatever your calendar system is. But my calendar is so little because it fits in my well, it's you know, small pages. So this would just not work out that way in that book. Oh, and then, yeah, I don't have the back of that one. So then I decided I like that system, but I wanted to make my own. So this is the cash breakdown system. And then sinking funds, like it was just, I made my own situation. And while it's pretty, it just, I don't know. I didn't use this one either for very long. I'm the kind of person that likes to have everything in one place. I don't like a bunch of books, even though I have a bunch of books because I can never decide on something and stick to it. But I don't like a bunch of different books that I'm using. So in that liking everything in one place, I put them all here. Check number 1, check number 2. You don't need all that space like the other one, that first one I showed. You don't need all that space because you can say, all right, these 3 automatically go to their own checking account or their own account that they come out of. So I could say, and this is for like each, so budget amount would be the total. So I'm going to pay $690. I really only pay $650, but part of it goes to savings, but we'll talk about that later. And so each check, I would take out $345. And then, so sometimes I get 3 checks, but again, only twice a year. But then I could say, okay, that was taken out, that was taken out. The actual amount that I paid would be $650, and a balance, if like for the sinking funds, like for the camper, I could say my balance is $200 that I've gotten put in there because I put $100 each check, and I wanted to save $200, and so that's how that was. These 3 total, you could total these 3 together and put $500, $200, $100, $200. Again, not real numbers. And then you could say your check amount minus the $500, which you know is the total of these 3. It does not have to be line by line like the first one was. So this kind of takes a new approach on my old way of budgeting, if that makes sense. So you don't need much space because you're adding up all the blue ones and putting the total here, all the green ones, the purple ones, you know, you're adding them all up and then just subtracting that total. So that you're breaking them down up here, but down here you don't need as much space for every little thing. And then as you check them off, you do there. As you actually pay them, you put them there. You can even check that off and say, yes, it's paid. You know, however you wanted to do it, and then the dates are over here. So this was another thing that I came up with that I kind of sort of like. But again, haven't really stuck to it. So going along with that, but not having to print it, I also made a handwritten version. So I don't know. This is pretty much the same as that, very similar, but you put your monthly total here, what you're taking out on this paycheck, because the problem with this one is while it's in every place, not every time do you take out the same amount, because sometimes you want to pay something off, you take out more. So this is only works really well if you put the same amount in every check. Otherwise, then you're having to come. It's just, I don't know. I didn't like that. That's the part I didn't like about it. So this kind of solved that issue where you're doing monthly, you're doing this paycheck, and then what you actually paid. Monthly, this paycheck, and then your balance, which balance or what you actually paid. Like this is like sinking funds, some of this. And so like, you know, I put 280, then I have 280. Or whatever I put there, add them together. And then down here, you can do the total here, and then your camper. So it's like that one I just showed you, but it allows for different amounts for each paycheck. Because sometimes you may not put the same amount. You may have a little more here and a little less there, and you know you're going to have a little less. So you can arrange that differently. I might make this into like a spreadsheet kind of thing, like I did that one, and use this one for a little while. I don't know. Okay, so on to the last one that I'm going to show you today. Isn't this book cute? I like this book a lot, and I really should use it. But again, I'm not. So there you go. Here's what October looks like. And you want to see what September looks like? I didn't fill them in. The ones that I knew what they were, I did, but yeah, I didn't fill them all in. However, let's go back to one that I did so that you can actually see. So over here I would do, and if you like stickers, this is really cool. This is a sticker that I made. Some of these I made, and some of them I bought. I think this one was one I purchased. Anyway, you can do your income source, your estimated, your actual. But this was a little confusing at sometimes because I'm always a month ahead on my bills. And so part of the month, like I'm in August, right? So this is August tab. But this part would be for September because August money go to pay September bills. So this is how I would know what I would have for September. But down here, this would actually be August's bills with the amount paid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it was September and August in one tab, under the one tab for August. And so that could get a little confusing, where this income here under September's tab, this income here was actually for October, for October. And then this here was actually September's bills, which the money came, these bills right here, the money came, let me go back to the right place. So these bills right here in September came from this money up here. So see what I mean by, where it got a little confusing. So, but I didn't want to go to like, I didn't want to be in September and do an August money here. You know what I mean? Like it just got confusing. So I stopped using it, even though I really like it. It's really cute. I really, really like it, but isn't it cute? But it just didn't work. So I'm just showing you all these many ways, and I've got probably more ways that I've tried. But I just wanted to show you that it doesn't always have to be, you don't have to buy this Erin Condren book. You don't have to buy the book from Budget Mom. You don't have to buy anything. Pen, paper, that right there can get you your budget. That's all you need. Well, okay, one more thing. That's all. This is what you need. This right here can get you a budget. Doesn't have to be any more complicated than this. My struggle is I really want everything together. I don't like to have different books. I like this because I like the stickers. This book, this Erin Condren book, or even the Budget Mom, there's stickers out there for that. I like the stickers. It makes it wider, it makes it thicker. But I don't know, it just wasn't for me. So anyway, I just hope this helps. You really don't need to purchase a lot of things to make a budget. You just don't. So, all right, happy budgeting. Bye.